Okay, I hope all have been joined. So once again, good morning everyone and welcome to our webinar session on the latest used oil regulations in India. I hope you all are doing good and ready for this webinar which gives you immense number of knowledge. So my name is Anuradha and I'll be your moderator for this session. I hope I'm audible and my screen is visible to all of you. Okay. So today we are here to understand the used oil regulations in India. Now let's move agenda for today's webinar. So we are going to discuss the introduction to used oil management rules. Okay. We'll look into the understanding EPR and its implications, producers' responsibility and the compliances developing and effective SOPs for oil waste management. So we'll discuss the post-compliances activity required for EPR holders to maintain the authorization and ensure ongoing compliances. And we are going to understand the role and scope of 𝐸𝐞𝐻 work, how it ties to the EPR framework, and it's supposed to provide the companies to navigate these regulations. Okay, so we're going to have a Q&A session to address all your queries you may have. So keep your questions ready. I'm sure you all are excited for this webinar. So towards this end of this webinar, we are going to explore how Vincular umbrella can provide you the best possible solution for your businesses. So now let me introduce to the speaker. Please kindly change to the next slide. Please join me giving a warm welcome to Mr. Karan Negi and Sonali Rajput. So Karan is a subject matter expert in Vincular and having a deep knowledge and understanding on waste regulations. He has emerged a trusted partner for numerous well-known brands, assisting them and navigating through the complexities of compliances effortlessly. And here's Sonali. She is an expert at Vincular, specialized in waste regulations and assisting with their compliances issue. So, welcome, Karan. Now the stage is handed over to you. Please guide us to the used oil regulations in India and how it will help. Please hand over to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Anuradha, for the warm welcome, and good morning, everyone present over here. So, as Anuradha has already set the agenda for today's webinar, today we will be discussing on the latest oil waste management regulation that are implemented in India. As we already know, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has introduced various waste management regulation which requires EPR registration. So that is e-waste, battery waste, plastic waste, and tire waste. Now, recently, the ministry has also introduced new regulation that are oil waste for which mandatory EPR registration is required. So that are regulated under the hazardous and other waste management and transboundary movement rules that were introduced by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change and regulated by Center Pollution and Control Board. So these used oil provide a framework for the EPR regulation that has been introduced to the Chapter 7th of hazardous and other waste management and transboundary movement rules. These are already been in effect since 1st of April 2024. Next slide, please. Now, understanding EPR. What is EPR? EPR, that is Extended Producer Responsibility, means the responsibility of any producer who introduce these oil, that is base oil, lubricant oil, or the used oil. So any entity who introduce this oil in the Indian market, it is their responsibility for the safe and sound management through the registered recycler or channelizing these through a registered recycler. So why there was the need for the introduction of used oil regulation? First, environment pollution. Improper disposal of used oil can lead to soil and water pollution, harming ecosystem and human health. Second, health risk. Used oil contain toxic substance that can cause cancer, neurological damage, and other health problems if not handled properly. Third, economic benefits. Proper used oil management can create jobs, stimulate recycling industries, and conserve natural resources. Fourth, conservation of natural resources. refining used oil can reduce demand of virgin oil, conserving natural resources, and reduce greenhouse gases. The last and most important is public awareness. Educating the public about the importance of proper used oil and its management can promote the responsible behavior and community involvement. Next slide, please. Now, as we're discussing about the implementation of used oil regulation, what actually is used oil is. As per the regulation, used oil means any oil derived from crude oil or mixture containing synthetic oil, including spent oil, used in engine oil, gear, hydraulic oil, turbine oil, compressor oil, and other. Basically, this used oil can be reprocessed to again regenerate the base oil or the lubricant oil. The most important point to be noted here is the used oil does not contain the waste oil. Waste oil means any oil which include spills of crude oil, emulsion, tank bottom sludges, slop oil generated from petroleum refineries, installation, or ships. These can be used for energy recovery or energy generation but cannot be reprocessed again. Also, any other oil derived from this base oil or lubrication oil is also regulated under the regulation. This oil could be a white oil or grease oil. Since these are regulated in the regulation, but the EPR implementation or the EPR targets are not interested for these entities that introduce any white oil or grease oil. However, the registration is mandatory for all of them. Next slide, please. Now the timeline of the framework of the used oil. The reference to the used oil was first introduced in the hazardous and other waste management and transboundary movement rules that were introduced in the year 2016. Later in the year 2023, an amendment or a new chapter was added, that is chapter 7, which introduced the EPR regulation to the used oil. Further, a new amendment came in the year 2024, which highlighted some responsibilities and change in the definition to the existing rules. Next slide, please. Obligated entities. Now, who are the entities that need to mandatorily register under the regulation and who have the responsibilities under this regulation? So these are collection agents, recyclers, used oil importer, and producer. Collection agents is any entity or a person who collects used oil and supplies it to the recycler for its reprocessing. Second is recycler. So any entity or person who is engaged in the recycling of the used oil are also need to register under the regulation. So recycling basically is the reprocessing of this used oil, which can again be used as a base oil or a lubricant oil. Third is used oil importer. A used oil importer is any entity who import any used oil in the Indian market. Next slide, please. Now, the most important definition here is a producer, because the producer is any entity who have the EPR obligation or they have to channelize their waste or the used oil through a registered recycler only. They will be having some EPR target that need to be channelized to the registered recycler only. The producer is any entity who, regardless of its sales, falls under any of the following criteria. First, if any entity manufacture or offer to sell any base oil or the lubricant oil domestically are regulated under this regulation. So what actually a base oil is? A base oil is primarily a component of lubricant oil only. So from the base oil, a lubricant oil is produced. And second is a lubricant oil. Lubricant oil is basically used in the transportation or industrial machineries to reduce the friction of the machinery. Second is, if any entity offered to sell this lubricant oil under their own brand name, however, if this base oil of the lubricant oil is supplied by any other manufacturer and they are sold under the brand name of any entity, that particular entity will also fall under the definition of producer and is liable to take registration from Central Pollution Control Board. Last one is importer. So if any entity who import this base oil or the lubricant oil in the Indian market also falls under the definition of producer and is liable for the registration. Next slide, please. Now the responsibility of the producer. So any entity who falls under the definition of producer is liable for the online registration with the CPCB. Second is EPR fulfillment. EPR fulfillment is the target completion for the recycling entities. So based on the sales and the procurement details of the entity that has been filed, EPR target has been defined through the online portal only. So it will be the responsibility of the producer to fulfill this EPR obligation through the registered recycler only. Then the producer also need to provide contact details to the consumer through their website, advertisement, or documentation where they will be supplying these used oil. Fourth is creating awareness for the safe and sound management of the used oil through media, publication, advertisement, or poster. Last, the producer needs to file annual return after every year for the oil that they have generated in the market. A complete description will be provided by my colleague Sonali in the subsequent slide. So thank you everyone. That's all from my side. Now I hand over the stage to Anuradha.
Anuradha, you are on mute.
Apologies. Thank you, Karan, for providing valuable insight on each agenda topics today. We truly appreciate your contribution to this webinar. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Sonali Rajput to enlighten our audience for SOP for used oil regulations in India. Sonali, stage is yours.
Thank you, Anuradha, and thank you everyone for joining us in this webinar. So I will be taking you through the entire SOP of used oil. So as you visit on the portal of CPCB for the home page of oil, used oil, so you can see a different sections are given for rules, for SOPs, for the dashboard, for the circulars and notice we received from CPCB. FAQ session is there and a video tutorial is there. So let's begin with the signing up process, and basically it's have 3 steps. So for registration of producers at the EPR portal for used oil, the producers are required to generate the login credentials by providing the following details, which like first is the type of entity. So the applicants need to select the multiple type of entities like producers, recyclers, importer, collection agent. And if the unit is currently engaged in the multiple type of activities, then the importer, producer, and collection agent recycling, then you need to create a separate login credentials for each type of entities with a separate GST. Second is our company details. So in this next step, you need to fill the company details like GST number, name of the company and trade name as per GST, company's email ID, state and registered address as per GST, PAN number, CIN number, IEC number. The third is the authorized person details, where the applicants need to fill the details of the authorized person, like name of the authorized person, designation of the authorized person, landline number if available, then you can proceed with that, mobile number, email ID, and PAN number. So with these steps, you can successfully create the login ID credentials, and then we can proceed for the next step for the registration of the producers. Can you please change the slide? Next slide. So now we'll move to the producers registrations, where we need to file the general details, type of producers, procurement data, sales data, and declaration, and last but not the least, government fee registration. So in general details, the applicant need to fill the details like which financial year they are going for, and then with the financial year, the other general details all the informations will be auto-fetched, like name of the company, GST of the company, company's email ID, etc. If any of the details is missed, then you can review and you can fill that information and then click on the save button and you can proceed for next. For the type of producers, so there are basically 9 type of producers which we will discuss in the coming slides. So for filing the type of producers, there will be option provided on the portal for the production facility details. So if the producers has the production facility details, then select yes, and then you can provide the details like the address and the name of that production facility and the GST number to that corresponding locations. So next is the procurement data. Now coming to the major part of our registration, which is the procurement data. In this data, the applicant need to provide the details of procured used oil that you are procuring for the respective financial year, that is for financial year 22-23 and then 23-24. So in the procurement data, you need to select, first step is to select the type of oil. So producer shall select the type of oil which is given in the portal drop-down list. Basically, there are 15 kinds of type of oils which has been provided in the drop-down, like hydraulic oil, lubrication oil, base oil, grease oil, etc. So after selecting the type of oil, you can proceed for HSN code of base oil and lubrication oil. So producer shall select the correct HSN code, and then the producers select the financial year for which they are filing for financial year 22-23 and proceed then for 23-24. Enter the quantity produced domestically. Here the producers need to file the quantity in metric tons which they are producing domestically, and then enter the quantity which they have imported in metric ton. The above file informations to be saved for each row. Just remember, you need to save every step and then you can proceed further. And in that, you need to upload the CA certified procurement data also for the proof of the above information. The next step is our sales data. So in the sales data, we need to file the quantities that is being domestically sold to the different type of producers. So in the sales data, the type of oil and HSN code will be auto-fetched because we have already filled the informations in the procurement, and you can proceed further. So in first, you need to fill the total quantity which you are sold domestically. And once you fill the total quantity, then we will file the other bifurcations of the total quantity, in which you need to mention the quantity sold and transferred to other producers. All this quantity will be in metric ton, like who are making those product and selling with their brand names. Quantity sold to other producers in metric ton who are selling directly with their brand names. And then quantity sold to other producers with metric ton in metric ton and who are co-branding those products. And quantity sold in the open market with their own brand name. So now there will be option whether the producers is generated any residual oil or not. If yes, then you need to provide the quantity. If no, then you can proceed further. If yes, the quantity reported for that type of oil will qualify for the EPR calculation, and if not, then the EPR target will be nil for that type of oil. In the next step, the entire we need to fill the operation losses after uses, and these operational losses will be need to fill in percentage. So enter the operation losses in percentage, and based on the percentage loss provided, the EPR target will be calculated. So after doing this, a tentative EPR target in metric ton, where the system will autofill the EPR target in metric tons, and after the calculation, and the same will be reflected on the dashboard. So please make a note that it is very necessary to click and save every step and each row while making those entries, right? And then in the next step, you need to upload a CA certified sales producers data and as a proof of the above informations that we all have provided in our sales data. The next step is that the applicant complete the sales data, and then we need to proceed for the declarations where we need to upload the declaration. In declaration, the quantity of the base oil which we have filed and the quantity of lubrication oil which we have sold, we need to upload those quantities. We need to fill those quantities and then provide the undertaking. So the producer shall upload those undertakings at the company's letterhead and upload those things on the portal. Last but not the least, we are here for the government fee for the registrations. So the final step is to make the payment. So based on the average cumulative quantities of used oil sold, which we have provided on the portal information. So fee will be auto-calculated on that base, and the entity select the make payment button, which is available on the portal, and then you can submit your fees and your registration will be submitted. Let's look into the registration fees standards which is provided in our SOPs. Is like if you have less than 5,000 metric ton, then the registration fees will be 25,000. 5,000 to 10,000 metric ton, then we need to pay 50,000 as a registration fees. 10,000 to 50,000 metric ton bracket, we have 2 lakhs. And then for the bracket of more than 50,000, 1 lakh bracket, we have to pay 5 lakh as a registration amount. And then more than 1 lakh metric ton quantity, then the fees will be applicable as 10 lakhs. So can you please move to the next slide, as these were the process of registrations. As we discussed, basically there are 9 types of producers with the code in SOPs has been provided. So let's discuss these codes. For P1, for the code P1, the manufacturers and the sell base oil. For P2, importers of base oil. P3 is described as manufacturer base oil and sell lubrication oil under its own brand or co-brand. P4 is described as importers of lubrication oil. P5 is procured base oil domestically and sell base oil and its product under its brand and co-brand. P6 is procure lubrication oil domestically and sell under its brand and co-brand. P7 is procure base oil domestically and sell the lubrication oil under its own brand and co-brand. P8 is described as procures re-refined and recycled based oil domestically and then sell lubrication oil under its brand and co-brand. P9 is manufacturers and sell re-refined and recycled base oil under its brand and co-brand. Moving towards the next slide. Can you please change the slide? Yeah, thank you. So in this slide, we'll cover the post-compliances obligations. Once you finish your registration, it's very important for the EPR registration applicant to complete those post-compliances obligations as well. So as an EPR holder, you need to perform the following activities to continue the certificate and for the respective regulations. So first is the EPR target completion. So it is a responsibility of each EPR holder to need to complete the targets with the registered recyclers. Second is file transaction, procurement and sale details on the portal. Third is the annual return, file the annual return. As a part of compliance, it is important for producers to file the annual return and every year. And the last step is to conduct awareness. So creating awareness through media, publication, advertisement, posters, or by any means of communication where you aware about certain things and about your waste and how you are procuring and how you are saving the environment. So it is a responsibility of EPR holder to conduct those awareness. In next slide. Yeah, so in this slide, we'll cover the 𝐸𝐸𝐿𝐴 scope of work, like what 𝐸𝐸𝐿AA is there to help you in every step for the analysis of product and its certification requirement, categorization of products to suitable categories, end-to-end coordination from your registration until the grant of certificate, timely reminders for the post-compliances activities, post-certification, that is activities like, as we discussed, for filing returns, EPR target completion, renewal, amendment, new regulation updates, etc. All these informations will be provided through 𝐸𝐸𝐿AA. And 𝐸𝐸𝐿AA is there to help you in these steps, conducting awareness events, locating a suitable registered recyclers who are authorized from SPCB and CPCB, representing the case in CPCB and ministry if required. So thank you. This is all from my side. And I hope this information is useful for you all. And now I would like to hand over the stage to Anuradha to proceed further.
Thank you, Sonali, for guiding us step-by-step filing in the application for SOP framework. I would like to thank Karan and Sonali for sharing your experience and knowledge with us. So I know you all have been waiting for this. We have received some interesting questions from audience. Let's jump on the Q&A session without any further delay. So I would request Karan to address this question. So question is there any exemption for any type of industry or oil?
Yeah, thank you, Anuradha, for the question. As such, no entity has been exempted from the regulation. Every entity who introduced the oil, whether any type of oil, need to register to the online portal. However, oils such as white oil, processed oil, or the lubricants such as grease, so any type of entity who is introducing these oils shall not have the EPR target, or they do not have the obligation to complete the or fulfill the EPR obligation. However, entities who is introducing this white oil or grease oil shall register to the online portal. Also, entities who are exporting these oil shall also not have the EPR target. However, they also need to register to the portal. So,
Thank you, Karan, for addressing this question. Thank you. So next question, I would request Sonali, please address this question. The question is, what is the validity of recycling credits received from recycler?
Thank you, Anuradha, for the question. So, as we know, the producers need to fill the EPR target from the registered CPCB recyclers. So, the recyclers shall grant the EPR recycling credits, which we can also call as EPR certificate. So, the validity of that EPR certificate shall be for 2 years from the end of the financial year in which it was generated, and the expired certificate will automatically achieved in the EPR portal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sonali, for addressing the question and giving the proper answer.
Thank you.
So before we proceed, we would appreciate your feedback on our webinar, and please find the feedback from form in the chat box and share your thoughts on this. Okay. So now we really had a meaningful and insightful discussion on latest used oil in India. Let's shift our gear, and I would like to take a moment to highlight why choosing Vincular for waste management services and other regulatory compliances is a right decision for your business. So at 𝐸𝐴𝐞𝐝, firstly, we provide a single window to cater all your services, all your requirements. It's regarding the waste management for plastic, electronics, battery, or used oil, or any other regulatory needs. So we got you covered. So basically, we streamline the process for quicker product launch, giving you a competitive edge. And we understand your cost effectiveness. So with Vincular, you can expect to reduce the cost and comfort without compromising quality. So nationwide, we presence ensure the smooth compliance coordination. We uphold the professional work practices with our great team, ensure the highest standard was with high delivery of services. We maintain high standard with our customer centric approach and the benefit from inside of ex-government official in our panel. So our commitment and excellence with the customer satisfaction is evident in our business matrix. So let's go to the matrix. Please kindly change the slide. Yeah. We cover almost 30,000 plus projects successfully completed in financial 2023 and 2024. Winkler has established a solid track record for delivering this result. At the moment, we are proud to announce that we had 700 plus happy customers who have interested with their compliances needs and experience difference in our service that we make. At Vincula, we have a team over 70 plus services, 70 plus experts that offer you services. Each bring their unique skills and expertise to the table to ensure your compliances journey smooth and seamless. So next slide, please. So that's it. So we are concluding the webinar like latest used all regulations in India. We hope that you all are found this session useful and valuable. Please stay connected with for any future webinar and the events. So recording and presentations will be provided to you. I hope you all are satisfied with the responses that we received in the chat box. So in case any question has been missed, please do not worry. So we are going to share a mail to address those questions. So also please don't forget to explore our vlogs, newsletter publications for your valuable insights. And the link has been shared in chat box. So I hope this is all from our side. I hope this webinar has helped with all of you with a great knowledge. Thank you, Sonali Karan, for sharing your knowledge and thoughts. I hope you all are having a great day ahead. Thank you.